Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Rockwood. This is their part number 320C-32D is what this is. This is a latch guard, and this is going to be used in commercial instances where you have exterior outswinging doors, or at least an outswinging door, and you're going to install the latch guard obviously on the pull side of the door. Very typical and common for that. This is one of a family, I believe, of four, well, or more latch guards, and we'll get to all of the latch guards from them. The 320C is a relatively uncommon latch guard because we are dealing with a very small preparation for the rows of your lock. Okay, and we'll touch on that in a moment. This is going to be the typical 3-inch by 11-inch size. 11-inch overall length, 3-inch overall width, maybe 3 1/8. As we study the latch guard, the leaf where I hook my tape measure to, that's where the door is going to be installed, and that offset, or that little giddy up, starts at about 1 1/4 inches and gets all the way to about 1 1/2, maybe a little heavy on that. Now that has an offset because when the door is mounted here, that door needs to close, and because the door is inset into the frame ever so slightly, there needs to be some relief there, is why that needs to be there. Otherwise, you would push the door closed with the plate installed, and it would really never, it would certainly not close and latch, because your door needs to be marginally inset. Let's skip to the, or let's move to the screen view, and we'll take a look at that real quick. Now, what we're illustrating here is you'll have a frame, okay, and your door is going to set in here, square-edged or bevel-edged, whatever it is. This is your latch side, obviously, okay. The dimension from here, from the face of the frame to the face of the door here, is the inset, and that inset is generally about 3/32 of an inch, 0.090 what is 3/32? 1 divided by 32 times 3, yeah, it's 93 thousandths, so 0.93, about that. Could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more, but it's going to be about that. Without the latch guard being relieved or offset like that, you wouldn't get this to work, because what it really needs to do is come quite close in contact and then dip down to make that sort of work happen there. Okay, and that's why that item is offset. Let's switch back to the screen view, pardon me, to the camera view. So the item that we're looking at will have that certain offset. In no particular order, it has an anti-pry pin. Okay, into the jamb, you're going to drill this hole per the template. You're just going to drill a hole so that when the latch guard is applied and the door is in the closed position, that pin is going to stick into the face of the jamb. You want that to be there. A latch protector without an anti-pry pin is not as good as one with. It is a very common way to break into a door by spreading the frame. Now, it's not going to be so easy to spread that frame when you're dealing with a 3070 16 gauge grout filled mortar pumped jamb. That's not going to be so easy to spread that. Okay. However, in other types of construction, it could be hollow metal too, bowing the jambs out so that you can just simply push the door or pull the door open is easy conceptually. Whatever that size needs to be, you cut that 2x4 a little bit bigger, maybe 1 inch, and they'll take that 2x4 and drop it into place and bow those jambs. That's a very common technique that criminals use to break into places. That anti-spread pin helps defeat that sort of attack, so you definitely want that. A couple of holes here for the carriage bolts, and this is, by the way, 32D or stainless steel, as are the bolts. Now they're magnetic, slightly magnetic, but stainless does pick up some magnetic properties when it's been machined, like turning it into a screw. This will feature a very trim head bolt, and we're going to talk about why that's a trim head bolt. And that's going to bolt right through the door. Allen drive, hex carriage bolt on the outside. Okay, so that's what you're going to see. Now, the defining characteristic of the 320C, and I don't sell a lot of these, is this really small little radius prep here. So the overall width of that prep, well, at least holding the tape measure to it right here, it's about 1 inch and 5/16. Okay, really small dimension of its prep back, about 1/4 inch. What that means is you must have a rosette diameter not greater than 2 1/8 of an inch, they're saying, in order to make that work. Okay, now from the edge of the door, we were going to kind of guesstimate the edge of the door to where 2 3/4 comes into play. Okay, you don't have a lot of room to accommodate that rose. The issue is, what cylindrical lock are you going to have with a rose diameter of 2 1/8 or less when a cylindrical lock requires 2 1/8 inch? It ain't going to happen. A tubular lock, sure. The term cylindrical lock is problematic in that sense. What I'm driving at is, if the hole in your door is 2 1/8 and you can't have a rose bigger than 2 1/8, okay. So where would you use this? I suppose if you have a the only thing that comes to mind immediately would be a decorative, knob where you've got 1 1/2 inch rose and it's tubular in construction. So where this is going to work with a cylindrical lock escapes me, because I can't think of a cylindrical lock that's going to require a hole smaller than 2 1/8 in diameter. Now, where you could use it, though, is maybe you have a you might have a slam latch, a slam lock by, let's say, Schlage, or a clone of it. That's a slam deadbolt, and it goes into 1 1/2 inch hole, and you'll have a certain diameter on the outside of that might be about 1 7/8 inches. That could work. If you had a slam lock, that would make sense. Yeah, I could see having a slam latch on there. That would work. But I can't think of a cylindrical lock. I'm sure it's just a lack of my experience and not being able to think of one. But be mindful, if you're ordering a 320C, be sure that this tiny little cutout is going to work for you. The last thing you want to do is have to grind that open. I've had customers call me and say, I had to grind 10 of those. That's horrible. So finally, be mindful of that. This has a depressed area. Oh, that's not depressed. This is a happy latch protector. This has a recessed area that will accommodate the lip of a strike to go into when that door closes, assuming you have some sort of a latching hardware that's happening and not a traditional deadbolt. So that is there, and that has a projection that's going to stand off about 5/8 of an inch. Okay. This is, again, stainless steel, brushed finish. Brushed finish over solid stainless is the most durable of all finishes. This would be considered a natural finish. Okay. Now, let's switch back to the screen view, and let's talk about those low-profile bolts and why those are there. Now, the item that we're talking about is here, but we're talking about these low-profile bolts, and let's talk about that. Let's delete some of this. In a normal installation, you're going to have a door that's going to be right about here. Okay. That latch guard we've got that small inset there. Okay. That latch guard is going to come like this, dip down, and come across. Those bolts are going to go right through the door. Okay. That low profile fastener is intended to sit so shallow on the door so that you won't have any sort of, and this is an exploded view, okay, that shallow fastener is meant to sit so thin that it's not going to interrupt or conflict with the dimension between the face of the door and the face of the stop. So that's what that low profile bolt is for. You'll be so close to the stop face that you need to have that low profile head. Okay. Now, they are 5/16 by 18 carriage bolts with hex drive sex nuts. That hex drive, that hex in the female portion is 0.2 across the flats. 0.2. 0.2. What are we dealing with? .13/64, you know, that's sort of size of Allen wrench, something in that range. So as we scroll down, we see our supporting documents, but quickly we see the summary of the other plates that are available. The 320CL and the CXL, those are going to be common. I think the CL is the most common. Or you have one that doesn't require a cutout at all. So you might have a very narrow escutcheon trim on an exit device, and you can get away with one that's 3-inch wide, knowing that, again, we're about 1.25 inches from where the door starts to where the edge of the plate is. But this is the guideline of what you'd follow. If you have grade 1 or grade 2 cylindrical, you're probably going to be at a CXL. Very likely, because those rose diameters are about 3 7/16, 3 9/16. Okay, for your grade 1, grade 2 knob locks, I would think a CL is going to work out really well for you. Okay, I might have called that a CK and that one a CL. Maybe what I would have done. Anyway, so here are our supporting documents, and let's take a closer look. The product brochure is here. That's going to give us an overview of all of the latch guards as well. I mentioned that there were 4 and then that they were from a family of them. The ones that we're looking at, the 320 series, all feature that anti-spread pin. Jam pin prevents spreading of door, but the 321 is very common as well. Nice, petite, and effective. Doesn't take up a lot of room, but covers that strike. The 322 is even more so because it's only 6-inch tall, whereas the 321 is 10-inch tall. So the only difference between the two of those is the overall height of those items. This cast latch protector, that's going to be available in satin chrome. Well, they could do it in anything. They could even powder coat it, I suppose, because it's made of cast brass. That's just going to be a very flat profile that's going to be bolted through the door. This anti-vandal latch protector, we don't sell a lot of these, but I have sold them. I think they're great because you're bolting your lock through that, and that would make a very, very strong installation when the lock body itself is being bolted through the door. Okay, I think that would be a very good option when you need something very petite. Technical data sheet, that's going to be a dimensional drawing of the typical 320. Is not showing us the 320C that we're looking at with our radius, and we'll see if we have any technical documents that we can add more appropriate, but right now that's what we've got. Installation instructions. Okay, very simple and straightforward. You simply need to make sure that you observe the offset in the plate. Mark holes 7/8 from the edge of the door, drill 5/16 holes through the door. Recessed cap nuts require a 7/16. I guess you might call it a counter bore. This is going to be the 5/16. The female side on the other, on the egress side of the door, will require that 7/16 bore. 3/16 was the number we were looking for in terms of the Allen wrench. I was going with the non-existent 13/64. but I was very close. 12/64 is what that equates to. Drill face of frame for the jam pin. You're just going to mark that, lay that out by hand. They're not indicating any dimensional properties for that. So these documents are really handy to be able to review to know exactly what you're dealing with. Okay. Now, there's a link here to the manufacturer's page. That link is very handy because it will allow you to review all things Rockwood related. What we're discussing is a link to the manufacturer's. A couple of links that are important. The full line catalog. This would be the accessory catalog, their core catalog, their trim and auxiliary material that is classically Rockwood. They, however, have the architectural door pulls catalog. Rockwood has about a 100-page catalog, 116-page catalog now, on nothing other than options on pulls. Okay, ladder pulls, a variety of options. If you're looking for door pull hardware, you'll probably want to take a good look through that catalog. The name Rockwood is synonymous with that material. Other encyclopedic documents will be kept here, things of that nature. Care and maintenance, that generally deals with the different base materials and what you might go about using to clean the finish, which is inherently connected to what the base material is made of. And then, of course, the Rockwood website. And then finally, all of the Rockwood products that we sell on scores, if not certainly thousands of pages. Let's finish up this video on camera. So in conclusion, a very nice quality latch protector from Rockwood. Rockwood, that name is synonymous with very good quality in many regards. Fit and finish of the product that you receive in your hands, the caliber of the technical support people, the customer service people, they're all literally, they are the embodiment of top-notch. The concept of predictable, prompt, reliable is defined by no company better than Rockwood. It's not opinion, it just is the bottom line. I don't know what their magic is, but it'd be helpful if they shared it with many other companies, ours included. There's no question. Rockwood just does a great job. If you have any questions on this 320C stainless steel latch protector, which, like I said earlier, if you're ordering this, you'll probably, I don't sell many of them, is what I'm driving at. There's a reason. So be sure that this is going to work correct. And I'm referring to that radius cutout. Any questions on the 320C or any other Rockwood product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.